Hi, this is a student tutorial on Google Classroom. This may be new for some of you, so listen up and learn a couple of new tricks and tips. To get to Google Classroom, you'll have to make sure you're signed into your Nash County Public Schools Gmail, and then you'll click on the 9 dots in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll be able to click on the Google Classroom icon, and that will take you to your classes. You will probably be enrolled in more than one class, depending on how many teachers you have. When you first sign in, you will see a stream, and that is mostly going to be teacher announcements. Depending on how your teacher has it set up, you might be able to post on there as well. You'll also see an upcoming box, and that will show assignments that are upcoming if your teacher has assigned a due date to them. Under the next tab, you're going to see a classwork. You're going to see how it's organized in topics by your teacher. That might be by modules or chapters or dates, depending on what class you have. You're going to see some assignments and some materials posted in different topics. You'll be able to click on your Google Calendar and see upcoming due dates. And you'll also be able to click on your class drive folder, and that'll take you to all of your documents that you have access to that your teacher has given you. The other tab is the People tab. You'll be able to see a list of your teachers and classmates and be able to click there to get your teacher's email address to ask any questions. So once you're signed into your Google account, you'll be able to go up to the 9 dots in the upper right-hand corner, click on Classroom, and that will take you to your Google Classroom. As I said, you might have multiple classes. The one we're working on today is our demo class. The first thing that it will bring you to is your stream, and this is mostly teacher announcements. You'll also see the upcoming box with any upcoming assignments if your teacher put due dates on those. Under the classwork tab, you'll be able to see all of your topics over to the left-hand side. As you see, you might have a subject, you might have dates, you might have Zoom links depending on what kind of class that you're taking. So this will help you to easily find what you need to with those topics. You'll also be able to hit view your work. You're going to be able to see all of your assignments, and if you received any grades, you'll be able to see those there. You can click on your Google Calendar. Mine is blank right now, or this student's is blank right now, but if you had any upcoming assignments, you would be able to see those there. Also, class drive folder. This is any assignment that your teacher has given you that she or he made a copy of. You'll be able to see any of those here. If for some reason something gets deleted or taken off of your Google Classroom, it should still be in your drive, and you would be able to search and find it here. Under the People tab, you'll be able to see your teachers' names, and then I believe this only has one student, but you'll be able to see your classmates' names as well. There are 3 types of assignments or materials that you'll see in Google Classroom. So the first one would be Google Docs, Slides, and Forms. A lot of times your teachers will make a copy for you, so you'll have a fresh copy to work on. Remember, Google Docs and Google Slides automatically save for you, but Google Forms do not. So make sure to submit those forms as soon as you can. You will see materials. So your teacher might post a PDF document that you'll just be able to look at, a Word document, or a link to a different website. And teachers also can pose questions that you'll have to answer in Google Classroom as well. In Google Classroom, your teacher is also able to grade and give you feedback on your assignments. So class assignments or class comments are those that the teacher can post a message to all students, or students can post a question if it's enabled for all, such as Mrs. Brown, number 9 is left off. This is not somewhere to post, hey, how you doing? I'm done. This is for a comment that would be beneficial for the whole class. There are also private comments for each assignment that only the teachers and the student can see. So if you had a question, you could type in the private comments. It's over to the right-hand side. Mrs. Brown, I'm confused about slide 3. Please help. And then the teacher will be able to see that. You also need to make sure that anywhere that it says submit or turn in that you do that so that your teacher is able to see that you are done with that assignment. He or she can see it whether you've submitted it or not, but it's a lot easier if you go ahead and hit that submit or turn in button. If you've already submitted it or turned it in and you need to make some adjustments, then the button that said submit will turn to unsubmit. You'll be able to make those adjustments and then hit resubmit. So Google Tools, you'll see that they're pretty much the same whether you're in Google Docs or Google Slides. You'll be able to change the font and the color, add a text box in Google Slides, add some shapes, different tools that you're probably very familiar with, and both of them have a forward and back button in case you make mistakes. In Google Classroom, your teacher probably will also use some Google extensions such as Mote, Kami, and Nearpod. In Google Classroom, you have Google Docs, Slides and Forms, Materials, and a question. So I've given an example of each one of those here. We'll start with Slides. If I click on my Google Slides, you will see that this is the student copy of that. Right now it says missing. It looks like it is past the due date. If I click on View Assignment, I would be able to see any class comments, add any private comments, or read any private comments from my teacher. I'm also able to click on this and it will take me directly to my Google slide, or I could add or create a different document. As you see here, the turn in button, as I said, is really important so that the teacher knows that you're finished. The next one is a Google Doc. Same thing here, it is missing, it is past the due date. If I click on View Assignment, I'm able to see the directions, any class comments, private comments. I can click on the document itself, add or create a different document, and then I could also hit Turn In. Google Forms is a little bit different, so if I click on Google Forms and I click on View Assignment, I'm able to see the directions. I'm able to see any class comments or private comments, but as you see, there's not a document here, and that's because this is not a document that is mine. This is a document that belongs to the teacher that I have to fill out, and typically it will give you some form of feedback at the end, whether it's a grade or just a completion, but this one looks a little bit different because it is a Google form and you have a mark as done button. So that's the same thing as turn in. It's just a little bit different since it's Google Forms. And like I said, please remember that Google Forms do not save your work automatically like Google Docs and Google Sheets do. Here, you're also able to see a resource. A material is what Google Classroom calls it. All of these other icons are green, meaning they're assignments. They will give you a grade typically, but this one is gray. So you can see it says adding fractions resource. So this is not something that you need to turn in. This is just something, it says when completing your assignments, here is an example of something we did in class together. So this is not something you need to do. This is just a resource that you can look at as you're going along. And the last thing that you might see in Google Classroom is a question. So you see the icon's a little bit different here than a typical assignment. If I click on this and then I click on View Question, the teacher has posed a question. Can you solve 3/4 plus 2/5 without finding a common denominator? And then you would be able to type your answer here and turn in. And one more tip. This is the Google Slides practice that I spoke about a few minutes ago. If your teacher gave you another chance to submit it and said, please look at slide 7, please correct that, that was the tricky one, then what you would need to do right now, if I click on the assignment, it will not let me do anything. I do not have editing access. As you see, it says view only access. So what I would need to do is unsubmit the assignment because it's transferring ownership from the student back to the teacher. And if I hit unsubmit, that will transfer the ownership back to me so that I'm able to edit it. So now if I click on the Google slide, it does not say view only, and you'll see that my toolbar is back so that I can make those changes. The same goes for Google Docs, but Google Forms, as you see here, is a little bit different. If I forgot to submit my Google form and I didn't get my feedback or my grade, as my teacher said, then what I would need to do is hit unsubmit, click on the form and complete it, and then mark as done. I hope this was helpful, and if you have any other questions, please reach out to your teacher.